All right. What's up, fellow Aqua Teen freaks? Ronnie here from the Dancing is Forbidden podcast, which is all about, if you couldn't guess, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So we just finished covering the 4th season over there, deep diving through all 13 of these lovely episodes, and now it's time to rank them. Why you ranking them, Ronnie, you may be asking? Well, I'll tell you, because once we finish covering a season on the podcast, I go through and do a general retrospective episode, and I give my top 3 favorite episodes from the season, and I don't know what those are. That's why I'm ranking them here. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. This is the 4th part of a 12-part series ranking through all the seasons. So, as you can see, we've got the first 3 seasons ranked right here on the screen. If you haven't seen those videos, you can see them in the description to this video. Before we jump in and get ranking here, want to let you know these are just my opinion, okay? Everybody's got one. I might not like all the same episodes as you, and that's all right. We'll live to see another day, I suspect. So, what do you say we spin here our wheel of names? See what we get. What's our first one? Season 4 of Aqua Teen, an interesting one. It looks like we're getting Dickisode, and this kind of exemplifies my point. So, Season 4 of Aqua Teen, they kind of played with a lot of tropes purposefully. They Aqua Teenified a lot of common tropes, and they also tried to push some boundaries. And Dickisode is definitely an episode that does just that. I mean, with the name alone, there's a million dick jokes in it. They couldn't have done this episode in Season 1. Now, as you can see by the thumbnail, and as you know, they had to censor out a lot of the dicks. We do get to see that uncensored version on the DVD, though. But, in fact, you know what? I forgot to grab my DVD. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I got the DVD. I'm so sorry, Aqua Teen Season 4. I know, it says Volume 5. Very confusing, but the Volume 5 has the Season 4 episodes. I promise I'm not yanking your leg, pulling your chain. I don't know. Okay, so, Dickisode here. This is an episode I saw actually after this DVD came out. I didn't see this one on TV at any point. I saw it on the DVD in 2008. And this was kind of like my introduction to Season 4 of Aqua Teen. Me growing up, I grew up with the Volume 2 and 3 discs, which comprise basically Season 2. And that was, to me, what Aqua Teen was this Dadaist, absurdist show. But here in 2006, when most of these episodes were made, they started getting a little bit edgier, a little bit crazier. And I saw this episode and I was like, wow, that is not... This isn't your grandma's Aqua Teen, okay? We'll keep it there. So how do I rank Dickisode here? It isn't one of my favorites from the season just because I think it's kind of one note. It's just, how many times can they say dick? A bunch of dick jokes. I think Dickisode gets a B tier, and this episode does kind of get some credit for being as stupid and as silly and as extreme as it is with the dick jokes. We also get Wongburger here, who is a villain that does come back a few times. One of the rare villains that comes back after Season 4. So Wongburger, we will be seeing more of throughout the show. We also have the creators of Metalocalypse as the Rice Henchman here. Pretty fun. Love me some Brendan Small. Where does it go in the B tier here? I definitely like it more than Little Brittle. I think this is good. I'd rather watch Frat Aliens over Dickisode and Dickisode over Little Brittle. And you know what? Because I do these on the fly, again, this is not planned. Looking at my list here, I definitely like Supermodel more than Little Brittle. So let me bump that up a little bit. Okay, so that is Dickisode, a fun one. I should say, I'm going to try and keep these episode descriptions brief because there's like an hour-and-a-half podcast episode for each one of these episodes over at dancingisforbidden.com. So, what do we got now? Moonawana. And Moonawana, we have the Moonanites returning, and I think this is kind of like the last proper Moonanite-centric episode. Of course, they do come back. I'm not suggesting we don't see them again, because we absolutely do. But this is kind of like the last traditional Moonanites episode. And I could be wrong about that, but I think that's true. Having said that, this is, I think, the weakest Moonanites episode. It's not a whole lot happens in this one. A lot of the jokes are predicated on just Meatwad and Shake getting high, and they're just being silly and stupid. And that's all right, but for me, it wasn't one that I enjoyed really rewatching on the podcast and covering on the podcast. So I think this actually gets a C tier. Yeah, I think that's fair. A C tier, and probably a low C tier. I think that I put it... I think I put it above Rabot. This was just not one that I was really that crazy about. On the podcast, I ranked the episodes out of 5. Looks like this one got a 2.5 out of 5. So not one that I was super stoked about. So what do we have now? Party All the Time. Holy smokes. Party All the Time, one that I did see back in the day in 2006 or 2007. This is a very, very different kind of Aqua Teen episode because Matt and Dave were purposely trying to make like a drama here. And you also have that running joke of Frylock's dying from cancer, but then Shake presumably dies multiple times throughout the episode and is perfectly fine. So Aqua Teen being this absurdist show dealing with death almost every single episode, it is very funny to me that they do an episode about death, but very seriously, because I mean, you know it. Most episodes end with somebody dying and then they're back in the next one. So, Party All the Time, we have that classic Aqua Teen song with Andrew WK. We also open in on Matt Malero, teaching us to shred like the master. Love that joke. I really enjoy this one, but it is a hard one to rank with other Aqua Teen episodes. It's kind of its own beast in a way. I think I put this one in B tier just because, like, it's not your typical Aqua Teen episode. There's not a ton of laughs here. It actually is one of the most serious episodes of Aqua Teen. But the fact that it is being serious and doing these things is funny to me. And if you didn't hear the podcast episode, Dave Willis tells me, co-creator of Aqua Teen and voice of Meatwad and Carl, Dave tells me that he regrets not going full drama with this one. Him and Matt didn't want to have any jokes in it, and they kind of walked that back in the episode. So Dave told me all these years later, he kind of regrets that, and he wishes that they didn't have any jokes here, which I think would have been even funnier. And again, that's just something that this season does, is purposely trying to subvert its own medium in a way, and trying to subvert what the show even is. So, where does it go? B tier? Where in B tier? Let's put it above Little Brittle. I think I'd rather watch Party All the Time over Little Brittle. But definitely would want to watch Supermodel, which is a very silly episode, over Party All the Time. So that's good. Let's keep it rolling here. All right, Grim Reaper Gutters, yet another one of those wacky Season 4 episodes. This time, instead of being a drama like Party All the Time, they play around with the flashback episode. And I think because of that, this episode unjustly gets a lot of hate, because it's not really a flashback episode. We get maybe like one actual flashback, and even then it's a joke, because we get that sequence of Frylock saying, oh, I save your guys' asses all the time, and in the podcast episode, I go through and analyze each one of those little frames that we get, or those little segments, and he only does it about half of them. So it's that in itself, like we do get a flashback, but it's funny because it kind of doesn't even prove what he's trying to say. Otherwise, we get a lot of unique flashbacks that we didn't get in other episodes. So they're not really flashbacks, they're just supposed to be. But then there's also the whole aspect with like Tara Patrick and Dan from Grim Reaper Gutters. This episode is so wacky, so all over the place, and I really enjoyed it because of that, and I think this one gets a lot of hate unjustly. So I think this one goes in A tier for me. I just enjoyed this one as an episode, but also seeing what Matt and Dave did with a flashback kind of episode. I actually just kind of dropped it here. I think this is good. I definitely want to see Super Trivia over Grim Reaper Gutters, but Grim Reaper Gutters I like more than Remooned here. I think that's good. That was I didn't even intend that, but I think that's a good one. I like it. Let's keep spinning the wheel. Just again, with Season 4, a lot of very unique episodes that were just them playing with these different formats. So they're all kind of unique because of that. But there are typical Aqua Teen episodes like Dirtfoot here. And Dirtfoot, is an episode I did see on TV, I think back in 2005, and one that I just absolutely loved. So I know Dirtfoot gets the S tier for me. It's this kind of classic Aqua Teen episode with this strange villain of Dirtfoot, also a non-verbal villain, which is something Aqua Teen does a lot. As you can see here with Love Mummy, I didn't really like it so much there, but I like it a lot in Dirtfoot. But where in S tier does it go? That's the thing, like, I have these nostalgic memories tied to this one of watching TV as a 11 or 12-year-old, knowing I was seeing a new Aqua Teen episode and just laughing my ass off. So many great moments here. Just the whole notion of Shake sees something on TV. He sees somebody on TV getting laid because he got hurt. So then Shake wants to be in danger. He wants to get hurt to get laid. And he's stuck in this well, but very clearly he is not stuck. It's just so wacky and so silly. I think I put this here. Like, I just have these nostalgic memories of this one, so that's gonna influence my list a lot. But it genuinely was just a solid Aqua Teen episode, so it's not like I'm giving it too much love just because it's a nostalgic thing for me. I think it is a solid episode, so I'll put it right here. So let's spin the wheel again, and this being one of 3 episodes coming out in 2005, there was Dirtfoot, Boost Mobile, and Deleted Scenes. After that, only in 2005. The rest were 2006. Except for Carl Wash, which was 2007, but we'll get to that. So we have Antenna. Antenna, a fun one. Some great cameos here. We have George Lowe, of course, as himself, kind of stealing the episode. But we also have Will Forte and Mike Judge here. So some big names on this one, especially Mike Judge, right? I mean, creator of King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead, Silicon Valley, which I've been rewatching lately, which is a really great show in its own right. Movies like Office Space, Idiocracy. I love this one. It's a good time. I think this is an A tier one. It's not one of my very favorites, but it is a lot of fun. This episode does a lot of things right. So where in A tier? I'm surprised. This can't be right. Did I really put Video Ouija this low? Let's bump Video Ouija up, please, at least over Revenge of the Moonanites there. Okay, so Antenna. It's not one of my absolute favorites. I'm seeing here I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I think it is A tier for me. I think this is good. I think end of A tier is good for Antenna because it's not one I'm usually like chomping to go back to, but it is a really cool episode. And just for that like 2 minutes of George Lowe, you can't beat it. You can't go wrong with George Lowe, aka Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So next up, Bart Oates. We got a football episode here. I'm not a football fan. I'm not a football hunk, if you couldn't guess. I'm doing a goddamn podcast on a cartoon. I couldn't possibly be a football hunk, but I did like this one a lot. And Bart Oates is not an actor, and I think he did great here. A very fun Carl-centric episode, but we still get the other Aqua Teens too. It's not just Carl, like we will see in Season 5 of Aqua Teen. We're getting the other Aqua Teens with some great moments. Meatwad and Shake are in jail, and Carl here, he's trying to right his wrongs with Bart Oates, but then also he's supposed to kill Linda Hamilton to stop the Terminator, but he doesn't do it, spoiler alert. I like this one a lot. I was surprised. Going into this one, I didn't think I would really care about this one a whole lot, but there's so many quotable moments here. It's such a fun time to see Carl kind of with an idol of his, and they're just getting up to all sorts of wacky stuff. Also a fun cameo on this one by Dana Snyder's dad as a member of the band Chicago. So where in A tier does it go? I think I actually like it here. I think I definitely want to watch Super Trivia over... Oh, do I, though? I think I do. I think I do want to watch Super Trivia over Bart Oates, but Bart Oates... I think I want to watch it more than Grim Reaper Gutters, so that's a nice cozy spot here. Bart Oates as a guest star between Seth MacFarlane in Super Trivia and Tara Patrick in this one. So let's roll her again. We're kind of zooming on through this one, aren't we now? So our next one, Ezekiel. Ezekiel, I don't gotta tell you, it's a classic Aqua Teen episode. It's a top tier Aqua Teen episode. Straight to S tier here. No dilly-dallying, no messing around with it. I think this is good. Yeah, I think I like Ezekiel. And I can't remember if I saw this one like on TV around the time that it aired. But this is one that I've always known about and one that I was very excited to cover when starting the podcast. And it holds up. Like, not only like you have Patton Oswalt as Ezekiel, but the premise is so funny. The storyline is so funny, but you get some great quotes here. Particularly, I am 30 or 40 years old, and I do not need this. A classic Aqua Teen quote. I think it's in good company up here. How's the view from up there, Ezekiel? Because, god damn it, you earned it. Towards the top of my list. Ooh, Hand Banana. So, opposite Ezekiel, I don't have to tell you, Hand Banana is one of the worst Aqua Teen episodes. I think we put it in D tier. No, I'm kidding. I do that joke every time. Every single time I do a tier list here, I do this joke, but I never get sick of it, and I'm going to keep doing it. Hand Banana, one of the highest rated episodes of Aqua Teen over on IMDb. And I think it's tied with what was supposed to be the last episode of the show. And this is another one that I saw in 2008 on this DVD here. Not this copy, but it was this DVD, where I was shown some new Aqua Teen episodes. And this, another one, like Dickisode, I was shocked. I'm like, oh my god, Carl's getting fucking raped? What are we doing here? This is crazy. So, going to cover this one on the podcast, I was expecting to think that this was just another shock value episode, and very much it is, but I can't deny Hand Banana, like top to bottom, the structure of this episode, the pacing of this episode, the dialogue here is just top tier Aqua Teen. Like, that's what makes this one so good, is not only do you have this crazy shock value, and of course it's done in this absurdist way, where it's this dog made from Shake's hand DNA that's raping Carl, and Carl, of course, a scumbag character, but it's just like the structuring here is so good. It's not like, look, we're doing a rape joke episode and that's it. Like, they are really doing a lot with this one, so this has to be an S tier episode. It's not one of my favorites, but like, I can't argue with this being a beloved Aqua Teen episode. I think I leave it here because, like I said, it's not one of my favorites, but it is just like this classic episode that does a lot of things right. Even like without the whole shock value, it is a very good episode. So I think that's fair. Bottom of S tier, and this is an episode, again, I expected to not really enjoy covering on the podcast, but I did. It was a good time. And also, if you haven't heard this podcast episode, I had both Aqua Teen co-creators Dave Willis, also the voice of Hand Banana, and Matt Malero. We talked about this episode exclusively, and I kind of got their take on it all these years later. So, a fun podcast episode for a good Aqua Teen episode. Funny how that works out. So let's roll our wheel again, see what we get. Ooh, oh, okay. We're jumping over to Global Grilling, and another one that I didn't think I would really like covering because I had seen this one at some point, and I knew there was some gross out humor with like the characters having to produce all this mucus for Meatwad. But when covering the show, it wasn't really about that. We didn't get a whole lot of gross out stuff. It's really like at the very beginning and the very end in a way. So there's actually a lot more just like crazy absurdist stuff going on here. Lots of great jokes. An episode that I was surprised by how fun it was. So I think this one an A tier episode for me. It just does a lot of things right. And also another one of those classic Aqua Teen episodes where we do have a small guest starring here of the Mucus Man, which is Roberto Lang from Helado Negro, which is a very popular artist these days. But at the time, he was working at Radical Axis, who did the animation on Aqua Teen. So before he was doing like NPR Tiny Desk concerts, he was working on Aqua Teen here. But otherwise, we really just have the Aqua Teens in this one. And again, just to that kind of classic episode, which we don't have a whole lot of this season. Where does it go? I think this could be fair. I think I'd probably rather watch Spacegate World over Global Grilling, but Global Grilling probably over Dumber Dolls. And if you want to know why, listen to my Dumber Dolls episode. I get into, as much as I love that one, as much of a classic episode it is, I have some issues with the pacing of it. So the pacing here, a bit better. So we're down to our last three. All right, we're at the Carl Wash here. Another one that I had seen that I was excited to cover, and this a cool episode, similar to Antenna, because we had George Lowe in that one. George Lowe being the voice of Space Ghost in Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and so much of that show worked because of George Lowe, because of just how much of a character he himself is. Here we have the Carl Brain character and Carl Jr., who are returning villains from Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and they are directly from that show, which was cool. It's cool the way that they brought those characters back here. So, Carl Wash, one that I like. I'm a Meatwad freak, if you couldn't tell here by my little light up Meatwad. I'll show him to you. Come here, goddammit. I'll show him to you again. We've got the blow up Meatwad. Hello, everybody. That's my Meatwad impression. Do you like it? I love me some Meatwad. So I love seeing Meatwad here. He's trying to get a job. He's trying to earn an honest living, but his job sucks ass, as most jobs do. Some great moments here. So for me, an S tier episode. I'm glad we got this solid kind of Meatwad-centric one. Where exactly in S tier does she go? Ooh, maybe... So, I think a question is, how does it compare to Dirtfoot? Because I don't know, maybe I like Circus. I think I like this. I think I prefer this order. I think I like Circus more than Carl Wash, and Carl Wash more than Universal Remonster. I think that's good. I think that's solid. Just a fun episode. I really, really enjoyed Carl Wash. So, spin the wheel again. We're down to 2. It's 50-50. It's a coin flip. It could be anybody's game here, but as I could see, we're getting deleted scenes. And this is another one I saw on TV, probably in 2005, I think, and I didn't know what it was. Now we know these are literally deleted scenes from movie film for theaters. So with that context, you can enjoy it more. But when I was 11 or 12, like, oh, I'm catching a new Aqua Teen episode that I have not seen, which in 2005 was rare, I get this, and I'm like, well, what the hell is this? Like, because I think I had seen Dirtfoot, I had seen Boost Mobile, spoilers, and I saw this, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, it's just a clip show kind of thing. These are deleted scenes from the film, so it's kind of weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I know there are people who like this one a lot. And I don't know, I guess just when I saw it, the context wasn't right. And covering it for the podcast was pretty fun, because there's some history with this one that I'm not going to get into here. But you're really just covering the clips, and there's some back and forth between, like, Carl, Shake, and Meatwad in the studio here. A fun repurposing of those clips, but not an episode I would really want to see. So I think I got to give this one D tier. Looks like I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. Like, there's some redeemable qualities here, but first of all, it is a clip show, unlike Grim Reaper Gutters, which is supposed to be a clip show. This is a clip show, and, you know, there's a lot of gross out stuff here with Carl with the broomstick up his ass. It was just very violent, in a way that I think was relying on that violence to be the joke, as opposed to there being many jokes that really resonated with me. So, D tier for sure. I think I'll put it here. Yeah, I think I'd rather watch Escape from Leprechapolis over deleted scenes, but I'd take deleted scenes over these two. So that leaves us our last one. We don't need you, Wheel. You've done your job yet again. You gotta love the Wheel of Names, but we've got Boost Mobile here. Where are you at, dog? This episode is like a time capsule, right? Where they are spoofing real commercials that were on TV at this time. They are plugging a real product with, and of course, this Boost Mobile phone with the tribal tattoos, that was a real phone. Like, that wasn't made up for the show. So this is like a time capsule of an episode. So for me, I enjoyed it for that. I have to wonder if you're not familiar with what this is referencing, like how this episode lands for somebody like that. That's interesting as well. So a lot of different angles to this episode. A very goofy one, a fun one, a Shake-centric one, and Frylock kind of having to save Shake's ass from this promotional contract that he's gotten himself into. If you couldn't tell, a lot of love from me for Boost Mobile. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but I still really enjoyed it, just because it is a little one note, and as I get older, those episodes kind of grate on me more than they used to when I was a kid, but still a great episode. I think this this is a good spot. I think I want to see Cybernetic Ghost over Boost Mobile. This is a hard one. This is a hard one to rank because I do have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of love for this one. But for now, I think it's here. Maybe once we jump into Season 5, I might reorganize this a little bit as I did today. But that is our ranking. I should mention, check the description to this video because you could find this tier list if you want to make your own. And if you do make your own, definitely send it my way. You could find me on Instagram at Aqua Teen Pod. I'd love to see what you come up with here, some of your favorite episodes. So let's see, what are my top 3 favorite episodes from this season? Looks like we have Ezekiel as my number 1, which makes sense. I wasn't expecting that, but that does make sense. Then we have Dirtfoot, which to me I knew would be in the top 3. And then Carl Wash. Some great episodes here. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. What were some of your favorite episodes? Hit me up. I'd love to see what you got. Till then, my podcast is Dancing is Forbidden. You can listen to it on whatever podcast app you want, or I upload the podcast episodes to my other YouTube channel. You'll find that in the description too. You know how YouTube works, okay? This isn't your first rodeo. I mean, I assume. What if this was the first YouTube video you watched? That'd be really strange. Regardless, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see ya when we dive into Season 5. Bye-bye.